Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Neko, and I am not back from my hiatus currently, but I do miss making videos, and I've been working on this video for almost, technically, over a month. So I said, fuck it. I'm finishing this video because the script was already made right after Nintendo posted that trailer for the new Splatoon teaser trailer game. So, since I'm currently busy IRL with a lot of stuff and still technically on my hiatus, I am making this video because I miss making videos, and this needs to get done. And it's one of the videos I've been wanting to make for months now. So just wanted to throw that out there. And also, I don't know if the script is also out of date or not with some of the information currently pertaining to the teaser trailer of Splatoon Raiders. So just keep that in mind. I just refuse to go and change a lot of the information because I just didn't really want to. It's not me being lazy. I just finished the script and said I'm not touching it. So just wanted to throw that out there. And yeah, anyways. I love Splatoon. It's one of my favorite games, along with Animal Crossing, but if I didn't love something, I wouldn't point out its issues, now would I? Now, I do want to point out, I'm not going to shit talk Splatoon for how many more minutes this video ends up being. I will be pointing out bits and pieces of all three games and how I think it was handled better, and I'm going to essentially just yap about one of my favorite games, its history and how it was made and how we got here, and so hopefully you enjoy. So I'm not going to gloss over this bit because there are other channels like Beta 64 and Thomas Game Docs that cover the entirety of Splatoon's history, and its making if you want to go check that out after this video. Links in the description. But the directors of the original Splatoon team, I might mispronounce these names. I am really sorry. I'm not really great at pronouncing names. Hisaji Nogami, Tsubasa Takagutik, and Shinotaro Sato needed a new IP for, at the time, the failed Wii U, and it took a few tries, but eventually they came up with the Splatoon, where in 2014 at E3 it would be revealed, and a year later, 2015, Splatoon was officially released. Now, I had the Wii U as a kid growing up, and I had Splatoon on it too, though I don't remember when I got it, but I do remember I was severely addicted to it. That and Disney Infinity. God, that game was really good. Splatoon is an online shooter game made by Nintendo where you shoot paint instead of bullets, which at the time was unheard of. Then later a sequel game came out in 2017, improving some of the issues with the first game, along with adding additional content features that wasn't available, plus DLC that was released in 2018. Now with its predecessor game we all know as Splatoon 3 that was released in 2022, also continued with in its footsteps of the second game, with adding a bunch of new content to the game, while also improving older content, adding for the older games, with also adding additional content features that were never added or there before, while also adding a whole new story and DLC bundle that was released in 2023. This is the original Squid Game. So sorry, other Squid Game from Netflix. We want the funny Squid Game. But in all seriousness, you play as a 14-year-old squid kid in all 3 games. But the cities and locations differ along with the story, and yes, the funny little Squid Game has a story, which we will talk about in a minute. In the first game, the city was Inkopolis Plaza, where in the second game, we were in Inkopolis Square. Same city, but different areas. Then in Splatoon 3, you're introduced to a whole new city entirely called Spotsville, the city of chaos. So there will be spoilers if you're either playing the game or interested and want to play it, but don't either want the entire of the game spoiled of 3, 2, or 1, not just one of them, but all 3. So this is your warning here, but essentially I won't really go into depths of the story. If you really want to listen to it in depth, there are channels that will be linked below. So to summarize, because I highly recommend you watch Cosmic Claw's video in particular on it, but Splatoon's story and what it means to be human after this one links in the description. But it all begins with a war. I'm not joking. Canonically, in the War of Splatoon, there were 5 world wars, and in the last war they decided to nuke Antarctica, which led to the humans' extinction. But before they went extinct, one scientist thought up of a plan to help the next set of species, to warn them of the humans' mistakes so that they don't repeat them. And what he made was Judd, a tsundere little cat that has been around for hundreds of thousands of years, along with little Judd. I don't know whether to call him a happy accident or an accident because of being a clone of Judd, and I'm not even joking. And because of Judd being a clone, we don't know his mind and his mental state. We only get that in scrolls we find along the single player mode. So we know that canonically it probably isn't easy for him mentally, but we just don't know how he feels. Along with that, we have the Octolings that you can get to play by unlocking in the second game, and in the third game you just get to play as them as a feature when you get the game. And the Inklings where they came from, well, they descended from a long line of experimented octopuses and squids with the hopes of dreams of humans that died in Etheria. This fucking thing on the screen. Which was the last living human civilization at the time. But they also, killed themselves because of the younger generations wanted out. Now, thousands of years later is where we're at in the story of the actual games, Splatoon 1, 2, and 3, and in the story modes is where everything else takes place. Plus the DLCs of 2 and 3, so hooray! I'm gonna go off script with this and then I'll read my script. But essentially I really like the game because of its very colorful features and the way, essentially, if you look at any other shooter game in the genre, it's very dull. There are other games now compared to when Splatoon originally came out, but for me personally, none of those strikes as much as Splatoon. Splatoon is such an original thing that there were people trying to copy it now than back then, if that makes any sense. I've tried playing multiple games that are kind of like Splatoon to get me into the shooter genre, and it has never worked as much as I love Splatoon. That's how much the game is unique in its mechanics and its sort of vibe, if that makes sense. There are other things I'll go through in a minute, but the gameplay, the motion controls, like the motion controls is part of the gameplay, but the way the game originally kind of, I think, has motion controls is the first game that I saw at the time using motion controls, and its mechanics. From what I remember, you could not turn that off. Now I could be wrong, but it kind of pioneered motion controls in like gameplay in the shooter genre. Stuff like that. Paint instead of bullets, made it more colorful and fun. You didn't have to play as this dull person going onto this planet, you know, shooting aliens or what have you, using bullets, and you could just paint everything. Yeah, you're still killing people, but you're using bullets in a fun way by painting the ground and fun game modes and that sort of thing. I may have a lot of nostalgia towards this game with rose-tinted glasses, but it's also fun. It's not, you know, especially for me as a person, I don't like when games have this like, oh, you have just one objective on this like non-colorful thing where everything's all dark and stuff like that. So that's another reason why I sort of like Splatoon a lot. And yeah, this is non-scripted, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out there because that's most likely another reason why I really, really like it. To explain this part, I need to talk about my history with the game, but honestly, if I could remember when I got it, probably it would be this wholesome story, but unfortunately I can't, so yeah. Though to be honest, I was really addicted with my Wii U growing up, and I would come home from school and immediately play with it, along with watching TV, like I constantly do now still. So my mom would probably got it for me on sale for Christmas or my birthday. However, I do remember with my Switch, I actually saw the Splatoon commercial while making my bed, and me being the 17-year-old I was with no job and begging my mom, she did end up helping me pay for half the money the original Splatoon bundle was. Not the Splatoon 2 Switch with the Splatoon 2 game, but the original Switch, no colors, just the game, and black Joy-Cons. And if I paid her half. By the time Splatoon 3 rolled around and the trailer for it came out, I had a job already, so there's not much to explain other than I cried at work because of how happy I was. As you can tell, I have a lot of nostalgia for the game, but what was the actual game? But what about the actual game do I like? Well, for starters, I'm not a shooter game person. I hate them because they're dull and the gameplay looks boring. Because back then, I never owned a computer either, so for a kid with no money and only had consoles, it's a good idea. Splatoon also pulls from a lot of pop culture, like music, clothes, and media. The details that you can find in the game, like how the weapons are made out of existing things that we use in our day-to-day life, is really cool, especially for me personally. Now knowing that stuff exists is really neat. Also, like I mentioned earlier, this game is also very colorful and bright, which is also up my alley. Also, it's really easy to get connected to the characters, like some of my favorites: Agent 8, Callie, Fry, Small Fry, Harmony, Pearl, Marina, plus the player characters in Splatoon 2 and 3, Now, I don't want to just dogpile on the game because I really do love it, and I know that the Splatoon devs are always looking for feedback from the community, so I've heard. So I'm not going to just be blunt throughout the Splatoon 3's life. I've just noticed issues and consistencies with either updates or promised content updates from the game, and also with me writing and rewriting the scripts. Nintendo's also dropped a new game in the series, which I will talk about later. And as me recording this, I believe that was like 3 weeks ago, so yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't know this either, and I don't know when to talk about this. Splatoon and Animal Crossing share the same dev team, which I believe correlate, which I will talk about in a minute. But here are my issues with Splatoon 3. 1. The DLC. I feel like personally the DLC was a bit hollow, and coming from someone who purchased it, the way they announced the DLC and said it was coming out was through waves. I was at the time really excited about it because they were doing new content that expanded on the older content, but we only ended getting up 2 waves. That were 1, during Wave 1 you got the Splatoon 1 hub and older characters. 2, Wave 2 you got what was Splatoon 3 Side Order, which is a roguelike inspired game. It was also theorized, and still is, in the community at the time that we would get 4 waves in the DLC, but like we know now, that's not happening unless Nintendo decides to release the other 2 waves that theorized, and like Nintendo's releasing updates after celebrating its final update in the game, but like, okay. Also, the prices for the DLC total without paying for the game is $30, rounding up the price with tax and everything. I do not think that's worth it, and I'm going to be blunt. It's your money and you can pay for it if you want. Personally, I don't think that's worth it. I think they should have added more to the first wave if they're going to price it at $30, but that is my personal opinion. So for example, Table Turf was a new thing along with many others, but was not receiving any updates for a year, if I'm remembering correctly, and I could be wrong. There was also different weapons specifically for this game, like stringers and splatanas, but fun fact, there are more splatanas than there are stringers. Also, throughout its life, these weapons were neglected until its last year, but since they updated the game, now there are 2 more than there were, but the fact remains. Same goes for Deep Cut. Like I had mentioned earlier, the main idol group of the game, they were essentially sidelined in their own game, which sucks. I really like Fry a lot, and the only 2 things we know about Deep Cut is 1, the city they live in is called the City of Chaos. It's a new city. And 2, they like being idols, but they also like going around stealing and selling stuff and being thieves to prioritize the city and the people they love. Why? We don't know. For what reason? Have no fucking clue. Why? It's not a thing we should know, I guess. Guess it's not important. And 3, I don't know how, but this game feels unfinished, and I'm not sure why. So, compared to the second game, the third game feels incomplete. I'm also comparing it to the first game, but unfortunately I cannot right now play the first game because my Wii U is broke. So unfortunately, I cannot compare it to that. I also don't know where to put this in the video, and I'm just speculating here. I also have my suspicions about why the game ended up in the state it did, in my opinion, but unfortunately nothing has been confirmed, though it's not going to stop me from talking about it because it is my opinion from this point on. So please take my words as a grain of salt, and all this is alleged. Nothing has been confirmed. It's just my opinion, so please take my words with a grain of salt. Personally, I believe, especially since we now have a new console and Splatoon game out or coming out, it's not a coincidence that Splatoon Grand Fest ended 8 months ago, and which was supposed to be the game's final send-off. But now we have another update with new weapons as soon as the Switch 2 gets released and a new game gets announced. I personally think it's a bit sketchy and concerning now. I'm not opposed to having a new sequel game in the series. I was actually going to make a list of ideas I had in this video before Nintendo shadow dropped the whole trailer, and I had to rewrite the whole script, not to mention how much each piece of equipment of Nintendo 2 Switch shit costs. It's expensive. I personally wasn't going to get it because I'm happy with my current console. I actually have the Splatoon 3 console because I got it from whatever it's called, secondhand, something like that, because my original Switch broke. And I'm currently happy with it. But I personally think $80 a game is expensive. Even $60 are pushing it in my opinion. I also wanted to talk about the Splatoon on the Switch 2 because the community has or was also excited about it. But there's nothing to discuss other than, yeah, Splatoon runs much better than on the Switch, though there's not much delay, so I'm not really sure how to talk about that. So So a sequel series was announced, Splatoon Raiders, and while I think it could be potentially good for the series and bring more people onto the game, I think the timing is fucking terrible. Nintendo essentially wants people to buy the Switch 2, but also telling us if we can't afford it, just buy the Switch 1, then which one is it? You can't have it both ways. I personally wasn't going to buy the Switch 2, and this might very much so sound hypocritical. I don't know how this is going to sound. It's up to your own interpretation, but I love Splatoon, and whenever the game drops, I most likely will end up saving the money to buy it and the Switch 2, and not at this point in time. Though that Donkey Kong game with the cute little what I forget her name, but the design of baby Pauline looks so cute. I want a plush of her because I want to pinch her cheeks. She's adorable. So that might change my mind. Other than that, I don't give a shit. Because like I said earlier, $80 a game. No. But like I said, I don't know how that makes me sound. I personally don't care. If I buy it, I buy it. I'm personally happy with my original Switch. But I will be buying that Splatoon game. I'm part of the problem, I think. Is what it is. Anyways, let me explain the game. We are the pilot or mechanic flying somewhere with deep cut. When we get stuck on Spiralite Islands and what looks like survival and maybe fix the helicopter so we can get home. Now this is interesting and could work, but again, horrible timing. I personally, as much as it pains me, I don't even believe we should have a sequel right now, because I'm concerned Nintendo will do the same thing to Raiders that they potentially did to 3 and may potentially do to the 4th game. And if we get another one, I don't want it. And what I mean by this, I feel like Splatoon 3 was half-baked. I don't want half-baked games to continue. And if you like 3, that's fine. I'm not judging anybody. I like it too. But I don't want Nintendo to keep getting away with games, or like any company, that are overpriced, but they shouldn't be that price if they're not gonna continue to add content to the games or stretch themselves then to the point that they can't keep up with that. Plain and simple. I'm very concerned about where the franchise is headed right now, and as such, I love the games and I want to play and enjoy them for the price I pay them for. And if you want to get Splatoon, I highly recommend Splatoon for the Wii U. It's actually selling right now for $10 to $20 depending on the seller, and the Wii U is also very affordable as well. I thought I would bring this up because I know nobody is talking about it, so I wanted to just yap about my feelings and frustrations. And everybody's always talking about the good things, but not the bad things about the games that they like or enjoy. So it's always sort of frustrated me, and especially I see it mostly in the Splatoon community, where a lot of times they'll bring up, the bad things about like weapons or some sort of mechanics, but not the game as a whole. They'll just mention it slightly, but not the whole game, where, they like this or that, but not entirely about, hey, this price is this, or stuff like that. And it sort of frustrated me, where I'm just like, can we just not mention everything and talk about it and stuff like that? So it's just sort of frustrated me, and I just really wanted to talk about it. And like I said, this video is my own opinion. I have been wanting to make a video about one of my favorite game franchises for a while, that being Splatoon. My other one is Animal Crossing, and I will definitely make a video on that when I get the chance. And when Splatoon Raiders come out, I might make a video on that, because I'm definitely buying it because I want to play it. I don't have the patience nor the impulse to control to not buy it. So I'll definitely see if I can put my thoughts into a script and see if I can make a video on that and my thoughts on that. But peace. I'm gonna go edit the video, and I'll see you later. Thank you for watching, and have a nice night or day, yeah. Bye. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Hey you! If you like my videos and you want more, please like and subscribe, and maybe you one day will become part of my plushie wall.